Well, hello and welcome to another show. My name is Jay Connor, the Private Money Authority. I'm your host for the show, and don't go anywhere. Well, welcome to another episode. I'm so excited to have my guest here today. And, if you're not new to the show, I have amazing guests that join me here on the show. And today is no exception. I've got Raul Bolufe as my guest. Let me tell you just a little bit about him, and then we'll bring him right on. So back in 2012, Raul quit his job. He was in a thriving family business. Things were going fantastic. He moved back in with his mother to chase a goal. And what was that goal? That goal was real estate investing. So he started real estate without any prior knowledge, no prior education. He had absolutely no established network and actually no real support. So he backed himself and took a leap of faith. So here's what happened. With some limited funds, Raul purchased and he invested in his very first property, all cash, for $61,000 back in 2012. Now, since then, Raul now wholesales. Listen to this, folks. He wholesales over $12 million. That's right, $12 million worth of real estate every year. Now, he and his team that flips and buys and holds properties and achieves financial freedom in the process. In addition to that, Raul has also been hosted on some of the most popular real estate investing podcasts, such as Flip2Freedom and Sean Terry and Joe Fairless. A good friend of mine, Alex Pardo, also is the host of Flip Empire. Raul has been on it all. Well, Raul is also, in addition to that, he's the host of his own very, very successful podcast, which is called Flipping Miami. And on that show, he interviews real estate investors and business owners, CEOs, entrepreneurs, the go-getters who have successfully achieved financial freedom through investing in the Miami and all across the U.S. So here's the deal. Raul himself says if he can start in real estate at only 21 years old, from his mother's home, and now do over $12 million in wholesale deals every year, so can you. So with that, Raul, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jay. Appreciate it, man. I can already tell it's going to be an awesome conversation because your energy is unreal, man. Thanks for that.
Well, it's easy for my energy to be unreal when I've got guests that come on like you, Raul, that is so successful. My lands over $12 million a year in wholesale deals. I can't wait to dig into that. But before we get started, just tell me, you were in the family business. You were in your early 20s. What is it that triggered you to, start getting into real estate investing?
Man, so it's my family business I was a part of was a car dealership. And so at a young age, I was thrown in there to learn how to sell cars. And if any of you guys have been in the car business or have bought a car or anything, you know that at one point you sit down in front of the salesperson and, you get a piece of paper, right? The salesperson gets a piece of paper and you start filling out a credit application. So after doing that over and over, I realized that the people that were buying the Mercedes, that were buying the BMW, that were buying the nice car, most of them had real estate. When I'd ask them, hey, what do you do for a living? How much money do you make? For the credit application. And most people who were buying the nice cars kept saying real estate, real estate, real estate. So after doing that for a while, I'm like, light bulbs kept coming off. And I'm like, all right, at this point, I think I know what I got to be doing. And you see TV, you see the YouTube and stuff. You see how people do well with real estate and after seeing it and like writing it from these people buying these fancy cars and stuff, I'm like, you know what? Let me figure this thing out. And that's really what triggered me. Honestly, it was that simple. I just knew that there was an avenue there that can, accelerate my financial goals and accelerate my wealth building and freedom and all that stuff.
Well, it's interesting, Raul. As I mentioned a moment ago, you started out your very first deal, you got cash, $61,000 on your first deal. You didn't have an established network. Sounds like you hadn't gone to any formal training. Tell us the story about that first deal, and why is it that you go into that first deal without really no support behind you?
Yeah. Honestly, I just had no choice. Like I wanted to get in, and I just knew this is what I wanted. Like I was already to the point that I was convinced. I convinced myself that real estate was something I need to do. So that deal just came by through like a family member. Like, hey, there's this person selling these 3 condos, and they said like, we're gonna buy 2, but there's 1 left. And from working since I was 16 and stuff, I had saved up about $40,000. So I'd saved up quite a bit because I was making good money and I was living with my mom and stuff. So I didn't really have my expenses. I just realized, okay, I'm like, it's $61,000 and it's rented for $800. It was a condo. I'm like, okay, like the math makes sense. So I just bought it. I really didn't think much. I had to borrow the extra 21,000 plus closing costs, and I borrowed it for 15% interest just to complete the deal. And that's how I got in. And once I bought it and I collected that first rent check, 30 days later, I was hooked. I was like, this is it.
So that first property that you did, was your intention to buy and hold that property and just rent it out?
Yeah, that's right, Jay. I always wanted to buy and hold that specific property, just because it was rented already. It was in a good area of town here, so I'm like, this one is just going to be a rental. And as I started digging more into real estate, the best things that came up on my mind was passive income, rental income, etc. And although you later figure on that rentals are not as passive as you think. However, that's for another story. But then I realized I want to do rentals, so that was always the intention. Yeah, I just kind of jumped in.
Well, there's a big difference between buying that first property and renting it out for $800 and then growing a business to where you're doing $12 million in wholesale deals a year. So tell us the story. How did you get involved in wholesaling?
So really, when I bought that first deal, I then quickly told myself I need to stop working the family business, and like I need to quit that and go to real estate full time. If I really want to make an impact in my future, my career, my finances. I also wasn't really happy working in the car dealership. So I'm like, if I want to increase my happiness levels and hit my goals, I need to quit. So I quit the dealer. And although I learned a ton and it was a great experience, I quit because I knew it wasn't for me. And then at that point, I said, okay, what do I do now? So, I'm a young guy. I know podcasts, I know YouTube. So I found a podcast, which is Sean Terry's Flip2Freedom. And I just started listening. I started doing. And that led me to have conversations about it to people. And someone introduced me to a wholesaler that was in my local market. And he said he was willing to teach me. I had to follow him around a little bit, but then he said he was willing to teach me. And then he asked me for money to teach him. I didn't have any money. I literally invested all my money in the house, but I was able to find a way to borrow the money, pay them back, got creative with the mentor. And that's how I got in, really, just from like having conversations, and people's like, hey, I know somebody that does that. Here's his number. So I texted him, called him, kind of figured it out. Then we made a structure that worked, like a mentoring agreement. And he taught me enough to get my first deal, and he taught me enough to get my third and fifth. And then that's how I really got started in wholesaling, really from just conception to podcast to finding a mentor. Then, you do one deal, then you can do 3, then you can do 100.
So if you knew back when you started with that first deal, if you knew back then what you now know today, what would you have gone back and done differently at the start of your real estate investing career?
Start faster.
Now, what does that mean? What does that mean, start faster?
Yeah, there was some hesitation in the beginning. Like I knew that I wasn't happy where I was at in my job. And so there was some hesitation. I wanted to stay, make it work. And I tried this and I tried that. But once I made the decision, okay, I'm done with this and I'm on to real estate, then it was off to the races. I probably, not that I did everything correctly, but I probably wouldn't have done anything much differently. Once I committed, I feel like I was happy with what I did, right? I went out, I bought my first deal within the first month. And I went out and found a mentor within the second month. And I went out and started trying and doing deals the day after I met the guy. So like, honestly, to try differently, I would have tried sooner. Maybe organize myself a little bit more of like what I'm going to do with my time on a daily basis. But those kind of skills, I feel like you learn as you go.
Well, one of the smartest things you did for sure was very, very early in your career, you got a mentor or a coach to work with you instead of you trying to, navigate this business by yourself. Instead of working with, doing it by yourself, you're working with somebody that already knew what they were doing, right?
Right. And honestly, I didn't like at that point, I didn't really realize the benefit I was getting from it. I just did it because I'm like, oh, he knows what to do. And so therefore he could tell me what to do for money. Awesome. Like that's like kind of how school is, right? If you go to college, you pay a professor to teach you marketing or finance or whatever. So I'm like, okay, this is normal. I for some reason in my mind, I thought it was normal. And it was such a huge benefit. And ever since, I mean, I haven't got to 6 figures a year in coaching spend yet, but I'm really close. And ever since, I mean, we invest a lot on coaching on myself, my brain, for my business, everything like that. So that was probably one of the huge steps. Without that, I wouldn't have got there so fast.
Right. So you're doing $12 million a year in wholesaling. First, let's be very, very clear with everybody that's listening. And what is your definition of a wholesale deal?
Okay. A wholesale deal is essentially finding someone who wants to sell their property or finding a distressed property, making them an offer. We buy houses, we buy ugly houses, okay? Cash house sales, things like this. That is the marketing that we do as wholesalers to get someone who wants to sell their house. You make them an offer, you put it in writing, you sign it, and then you sell it for a profit with what they call an assignment fee. And ultimately, it's kind of like a pawn shop. Somebody's in a situation or somebody just wants cash. I use the example of my bedroom set. I had a condo here and I had to move quickly because of a situation. And my next condo was furnished, but I spent like $3,000 on this bedroom set and I had to move in 2 weeks. So I put my bedroom set on Craigslist and for $2,000, no one bought it. Then I lowered it to $1,000. No one bought it. I ended up selling the bedroom set for $200 because I was a motivated seller. So people do that with their homes all the time when they need cash or when they're just in a situation that they just want to sell it, whether it's time, whether they run out of money, whether they run out of, patience. So that's how I'd explain wholesaling in a simplified version.
So let's make sure I got it right. So your definition of a wholesale deal is, first of all, step one, you market to find motivated sellers. And my guess is all of these motivated sellers of houses are what we call off-market houses. They're not in the multiple listing service, right?
That's right. Well, you could do multiple listing service, but yes, mainly off-market.
All right. So you're marketing all the time. You're finding motivated sellers. You and your team negotiate the deal. You get it under contract. Now, as a wholesale deal, you're not going to what we call take that deal down. You're not going to close on that deal. You're not going to buy that house. You're going to assign your contract with that seller to another buyer that's actually going to close on it, correct?
Correct.
And when you assign that contract, you as a wholesaler, you're going to collect an assignment fee, right?
That's right.
All right. So 2 questions. In today's market, what are your top 3 favorite ways of finding motivated sellers in this market that's like the toughest ever it's been to find motivated sellers? How do you do it? Tell us the secret sauce. The secret sauce, Raul.
I could tell you, Jay, but you can't tell anyone, okay?
I won't tell anybody but my audience.
So the top 3 ways out of much trial and error is, number 1 is Google advertising. So very simply, wherever you're from, let's say, so I'm in Miami, Florida. Jay, you're in North Carolina. So let's say someone searches sell my house fast, North Carolina on Google. Okay. There's websites that pop up and say ad and, say things like that. So we do a lot of that marketing. You can pay for that. It's called pay per click. And it's Not that simple, but it's very learnable. Okay. There's videos on YouTube, there's courses and everything. But that's number one way of how we're getting deals. We're buying certain keywords in certain areas across the nation. So if somebody sells, we just did a deal in Boise, Idaho. We're located in South Florida, but we turn on this Google advertising in the best cities in the US in order to be able to get the best deals in the best markets for the best prices. So anyway, so number one is Google advertising. That is our bread and butter way. Number two is text message marketing, which is sending text messages to homeowners and just like a cold call. So if you do a cold call, you say, hey, Mr. Seller, I saw your house in the neighborhood. You wouldn't be interested in selling, would you? We say those things via text. And the third way is direct mail. Direct mail, yes, it still works, believe it or not.
Are you kidding? Is the United States Postal Service still open?
I think so. I think they only do a little bit of revenue. So, yeah, they're still open. And honestly, direct mail has probably been our most consistent ever. Believe it or not, it doesn't pay us the most, like meaning that we won't make the most out of it, but it's very, very consistent. So those are the top three ways, really, just direct mail, texting, and Google advertising.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that, because that is pulling the curtain back. Now, you just said something very interesting, Raul. You said that you're doing Google ads. And by the way, Google ads for me are my best qualified sellers. They cost more per lead. I'm paying on average $85 to get someone to click, give me their contact information. But the beautiful thing in my experience, Raul, is a Google ad or a pay-per-click. Those people are looking for us. They're searching for us, as opposed to, say, a Facebook ad that just shows up in the news feed, right? So like you, I love Google ads. But again, you just said something very interesting. You said that you are doing Google ads in the top cities, the hot cities all across the nation. So here's the question. How in the world do you virtual wholesale? You're in Miami, Florida. You're doing a Google ad in Hullup Scullup. You're doing a Google ad in Iowa. You're doing a Google ad in, Harkers Island, North Carolina. So I get it. I know how to do a Google ad in whatever city I want to, but how in the world do you do the business virtually as a wholesaler?
Yeah, Jay, I mean, and that's become a pretty popular thing what I've seen online. The first thing I would note is if someone's looking to do this, to go on the virtual wholesaling route, you have to understand that it's more than just a different marketing strategy. It's a whole different business strategy. So for example, Jay asked a great question. What are the three ways to find deals? I said Google ads, text messaging, and direct mail. If you were to do Google, let's say you're from North Carolina and you were to do Google ads, then you were to add direct mail, then you were to add text messaging, all in North Carolina, you added marketing strategies. Now, if you're in North Carolina and you decide to add Google ads nationwide, you just added a different business plan to your business. So it's not a different marketing strategy. That's like the first thing I would say. But if you want to get into the nitty gritty of it, I love all this stuff. So when we set up on Google ads nationwide, we exclude markets that are less than 100,000 people. So we only target markets that are 100,000 people and up. That's where our ads show up. So, kind of like a remote place in Alabama, our ads won't even show up there. We'll only show up in Montgomery, in Huntsville, for example. And so now that we got that set up, now the leads start coming in. And really, it's just the same process. Leads come in. It comes to you or you're a salesperson, acquisitions person, however you have it set up. You get on the phone with them. You follow a script. You follow a sales plan, just like if you were to go in person. And you make them an offer. Typically, our conversations are between 25 to 35 minutes over the phone. Typically, we get deals signed in 2 to 3 calls. It doesn't really happen on the first call so often. And you talk to them just like a very regular human being, like if you're in front of them. And you send them a DocuSign offer with an offer and guide them through signing it. Once you get that, now you have a live one. You got a deal, okay? You got a deal. Now the next step is selling it. interesting part is people love and they obsess about finding sellers, which you should, because that is the business, finding motivated sellers. But it's funny because a lot of people say like, but how do you find the buyers? Well, it's like, hey man, let me ask you a question. Didn't we just find a seller in another state? Yes. Well, what makes it so different? Why couldn't we find a buyer? And actually, a buyer is a lot cheaper and a lot easier to find because right now they're everywhere. Okay. They're everywhere. So once we get that deal, we did that little process I just told you. Then we have a little process for finding a buyer. So if we got a deal in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm not from there, and we just got one locked in, what we'll do is we'll we go on PropStream. We put Charlotte, North Carolina. We put cash buyers last 6 months. Boom, a list of 800 people come out, and then we just skip trace them and shoot them some text messages and some calls. And all we say is, hey, my name is Raul. I see you bought some deals in Charlotte. You wouldn't be interested in another investment property, would you? And the phone rings off the hook.
That's awesome. So you're using one of your resources you're using is PropStream. Spell that for everybody. PropStream.
Yeah, PROP Stream, STREAM.
Right. And you're finding, and I'm familiar with PropStream. You're finding that resource to be pretty reliable as far as giving you good cash buyer list.
Yeah, PropStream and InvestorLift are the two that we use for cash buyers. InvestorLift.com maybe, yeah, or if you just Google InvestorLift. We literally use both of them. It's not that we use one or the other. Every time we get a deal, we pull the data from both and we text both.
That's awesome. Now let's go back to the process. You have found a motivated seller. You have determined either by, Google ad, direct mail, text messaging, they are a motivated seller. And you're in different markets. How many different markets are you in? Virtual wholesaling. How many different markets?
Man, it's hard to say. I would say it's about like between 30 to 35.
Good night. You're in 30 to 35 markets, right?
Yeah, we try to stay in the best cities. So yeah.
Okay, so you're in 30 to 35 markets. So here's the question. You're negotiating with a seller. What resource, what strategy, whatever do you and your team use to really determine what the value or first of all, do you determine what the after repaired value of that house is, or do you go for an as is value?
I would say we do a little bit of both. It's a good question. So I'm going to answer that question in its entirety, and I'll get to that. What do we do to analyze the property? You probably won't believe me that I'm going to say this, and I'm almost sometimes embarrassed to say it, but we actually use Zillow probably 80% of the time. The way that we use Zillow is on the sold properties, right? The little yellow button, sold, right? You put the address, you click sold, you put in 6 months or less. On the last thing, you drop down, you click, it says 12 months, 6 months, 3 months, 90 days, whatever. Click 6 months. We see what's yellow, what prices those are. Or what we do on top of that is then we'll click for sale and we look at pending sales and under contract. So really we use Zillow a lot of the times to find our values. And yeah, we'll do an after repair value or an as is, kind of depending on how the house is. For the most part, it's probably after repair. And then we just back out, the math on a spreadsheet that we have.
I got you. So you're using Zillow to actually determine the values of the houses. What does your team look like, Raul? I mean, my lands, you're in 30, 35 cities. You got acquisitionists, you got different team players. Yeah. What does your operation look like?
So right now we have, how many people do we have now? That's a good question. So we have, I think, 11 acquisitions people that are what we will call junior acquisitions. So they're like lead managers. And then we have 2 closers who they do most of the closings. So it's about 13 people. We have a full-time recruiter that he's in the office. All he does is find new salespeople to come into our organization every week. Then we have a COO, myself, and a couple assistants.
I got you. So So if with you doing $12 million in wholesale a year, what's your average assignment fee that you're making per deal?
Okay. Yeah, and maybe it was read wrong and it's okay, but it's 12 million worth of real estate. So basically we're doing about 2 to 3 million in wholesale fees, but the
Okay.
value of the real estate is 12 million plus. So I just wanted
Gotcha.
to clarify just in case.
Gotcha. So 2 to 3 million in assignment fees.
Correct.
Gotcha. So
Correct.
what's your average assignment fee?
It's about 19,800 right now.
Good night. That's high. That's higher than wholesale fees used to be.
Well, I mean, I remember when I started in 2012 and my average wholesale fee was $2,500, $2,500.
Wow. Hasn't the wholesale business changed quite a bit? Now, let me ask you a question, Raul. Do you stay in any deals? And do you take down any deals yourself, or do you sign them all out?
No, we're staying in deals. As of the last 2 years, we've been staying in more deals. I love that question because for a while, I don't know if I took the right path or the wrong path, but for a while I was just so laser focused on getting my wholesale team and getting that income to come in. And then for the last 2 years, we've been acquiring quite a bit, both on the flips and the rental side. And we're also doing some owner finance deals that we're buying them cash and then selling on terms, things like this. So we'll acquire some more now.
I got you. So for those deals that you're staying in and not assigning them out, but you're staying in, like, for the big profits or the buy and hold, how are you funding those deals?
All right. So I love that. So in the beginning, I just found a hard money lender from going to a meetup, a real estate meetup. And I did about probably 15 deals with this gentleman. And after I realized, whoa, this fees are a lot. So really,
you're not kidding. Hard money is expensive.
Yeah. And I just didn't know what I didn't know. I met him. He was nice. He said he'll fund my deals if I put 10 or 20% down. I was, 22, 23 years old. I figured in my mind, no one else is going to lend me money. So when I started doing some flips, I did it with him. And really that's how I started. And then now how I find the deals is really through some of the influence and just time in the market. I've met people over the years. Some buyers have become my lenders, some friends, people that follow me on socials. And then you just do repeat business with the same people. And we also have an institution that does lending for us, like a lending home type of company. And that's how I fund my deals. Really, my last 2 deals that we've taken down this month have both been funded through people on Instagram.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, Raul, you may know or you may not know, but I am so passionate about private money, not hard money, but private money, doing business with individuals. My first 6 years in the business, from 2003 to 2009, I relied on the local banks. And Raul, in 2009, January, I lost all my funding, completely. And I knew I had to find a better way. I didn't want to do hard money. So I fell in love with private money. And, private money is hard to get unless somebody knows the easy way to do it. And Raul, I got something for you and I got something for our listeners. I know you got something that you want to tell folks on how they can follow you here in just a moment. But I'm so passionate about private money. I personally just finished writing my brand new money guide. And my money guide, Raul, is called 7 Reasons Why Private Money Will Skyrocket Your Real Estate Business and Help You Build Incredible Wealth. And in this guide, I teach people how they can actually get a big check when they buy a property and take no money of their own to the closing table. So Raul, and for everybody that's listening and tuning in, you can download my brand new money guide absolutely free and get started on the fast track to private money at jayconner, JAYConner.com/money guide. Again, that's jayconner, JAYConner.com/money guide. Download that, and that'll get you on the fast track to never missing out on a deal because you didn't have the funding. So, Raul, I think you'll find that interesting yourself. Raul, I tell you, you've got just an amazing story. You're way too young to be as successful as you are. And by the way, that's a compliment.
Oh,
So anyway, I know people are going to want to continue the conversation with you. They're going to want to continue to follow you. Tell everybody, Raul, how can they follow you and continue to learn about your experiences and your wisdom?
awesome, man. And Jay, I appreciate again the show. So, how you can follow me is on YouTube. We post about 3 videos a week, and the YouTube channel is Raul Bolufe. I think the link is right there below. If you just search my name there, you can find it. You can also follow me on Instagram. All the socials is the same name, Raul Bolufe. You might see an older dude with some glasses. That's my father. You can follow him too, but mainly you can follow me there. And if you want some free stuff on my website, raulbolufe.com, I have a download now button on the top, and if you click that, you'll get my contract for free, a spreadsheet for free, no credit card, no nothing. Literally, you just get it. You put your info in, and we send you over, I think it's 4 free things. I can't remember now. But so if you're interested in the contracts we use, the assignment of contract, the spreadsheet, then you can follow me on YouTube and Instagram.
Man, that's awesome, Raul. Well, Raul, let me let you do the final parting comments. What's the best advice you could give someone that's like brand new, they're interested in getting starting in real estate? What's the best advice you can give them?
I'll break it down to 2 parts. The first one is commit to what you want to do. If you're starting brand new and you want to do this, like in your flesh, commit to doing it. And the second one is ask for help. And I don't mean in there's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it, right? The wrong way to do it is just like messaging people like, hey, help me. No. Provide some value or talk to people and see what they need, how you can help them. But ask for help, get a mentor, get a coach, follow somebody around, work in an office for a little bit. If you message 10 people in your market that do what you want to do, there's a chance that one of them will have you come in and like look at what they do. So commit to your core of what exactly you want to do and then ask for help.
That's awesome. Raul, thank you so much for joining me here on the show. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you, Jay. I mean, I know we just met, but the people you've had on your channel, the things you're doing on your show, your podcast, all the time you're putting in, I can tell that you have a really, amazing journey ahead. So thank you for doing this.
Absolutely. Thank you, Raul. Well, there you have it, folks. Another episode, another show. We really appreciate you liking, sharing, and subscribing. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure and ring that bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes with other amazing guests that I have here on the show. And if you're watching on or listening on iTunes, be sure and give us a 5-star review and give us your comments and feedbacks. We really, really appreciate it. There you have it, folks. I'm Jay Connor. I'm wishing you all the best. Here's to taking your business to the next level, and we'll see you right here on the next show. All right, Raul.
Good job.
Fantastic, Raul.
Awesome, man.
So for those still watching, the show is over and you're getting a behind the scenes because we're going to do a little recording for the beginning of the audio podcast that we're creating out of this. So you don't have to leave, but we're just chatting.
Awesome. That's cool. This is
so Raul, if you want to stick around for a second, we're still like raw live on YouTube and Facebook. If you want to stick around for a minute, you're welcome to. If you need to jump off, you can. But all I'm going to do now is a special intro for the iTunes and the audio podcast.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if I can help with that, I could stick around.
All right, excellent. All right, Scott, I'm ready to do the special intro and special hook. All right, here we go. Here we go with the hook in 3, 2, 1. Oh, my lands, folks, have we got an amazing show in store for you today. I've never had a guest like this on before. And I tell you, I'm coming up on my 5th year in the show. And listen, here's why you want to stay into the end and listen to every word that comes out of my guest's mouth. First of all, you're going to learn how my guest went in like no time at all, like a very, very quick time. He was able to start making $3 million a year in assignment fees, by doing wholesaling. And in addition to that, all these wholesaling fees and assignment fees, he's doing virtually. This guy, you're going to learn in this show right now, coming up right now. He's going to teach you how he's able to wholesale, not in just one market, but he's virtually wholesaling in 30 to 35 markets simultaneously. So the question is, how in the world does somebody virtually wholesale in 30 to 35 markets simultaneously and stay in control of their business and not be taken to the cleaners? In addition to that, my special guest is going to pull back the curtain, and he's going to give right now the top 3 ways that he's finding off-market deals before other real estate investors even know about these deals. You know, in this market, you can't rely on the multiple listing service. And my guest right here in the next few seconds is going to show you and tell you the top 3 ways to find motivated sellers. In addition to that, he's also going to tell you in this show how he builds his buyers list in just a matter of minutes. So not only is he going to tell you how to find the motivated sellers, the off-market sellers, but he's also going to tell you here in this show how to build your buyers list in any market in the nation, just like that. Put on your seatbelt, because here we go right now with this episode.
Good job. I forgot I did a St. Patrick's Day video, so I don't know if it'll end up in it or not, but
That's good. That's good. That's good.
Awesome. Well, Raul,
Good
thank
job.
you so much. And again, somehow we're connecting Linda Franklin, my assistant, with your assistant.
Yeah. I shot over an email and I included Lydia to Sharub.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you can just email me through there and we can communicate and square it all up.
All right. And so, Scott, what's going to happen is Sharub going to send Linda Raul's assistant's contact.
Yeah.
And what's your assistant's name, Raul?
Lydia.
I'll tell Linda to be on the watch out for an email from Sharub with Lydia's contact.
Perfect.
Fantastic. All right.
Great meeting you, Raul.
Likewise, guys. Thank you very much. Have a good one, man.
Thank you, Raul.
Take care.
So we're good, Jay. I'll work on the change the audio. The intros, that was really big improvement over our normal ones.
Yeah. It's like, I know what we're going to talk about and why you should stay on to the end.
Yeah. I love it.
Well, I can't wait to hear the audio before you release it, as to how that works in.
Yeah. I'll show it to you before.
Awesome. All right, Scott, have a good one.
Talk to you later, Jay. Bye-bye. Glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, I'm so grateful.
Bye-bye.